Okay, so the second perk slot for Jason has always been under a lot of contention. I think solid arguments can be made for several of Jason's second perk slot. But today, I wanted to go over some of the reasons for my personal favorite choice of Airwalker. I won't waste your time. I want to go ahead and start off with the main reasons you want to be using the perk, and then as we go throughout the video, we'll talk about more and more niche uses. So the first and most useful implementation of Airwalker is Airwalker into Rage. The requirement for Jason to otherwise be on the ground whenever he uses rages creates some pretty awkward weaknesses. For one, you need a lot of space to go ahead and get it off, even if you just tap it. That's the soonest I can act. The primary culprit is its in-lag, even if you do just tap it. A lot of the times, unless you have a ton of space, people can just walk up to you and use their armor breaker on you on reaction and shut it down. Even if the character you're fighting doesn't have a really good armor breaking move, perks like Too Fast to Block can make it really difficult to get a lot of use out of the move. The only way you're really going to be able to get Jason's rage off for free is if your opponent is giving you a ton of space for no reason. Without Airwalker, the most reliable way you're going to be getting rage most of the time is by hitting them away and then doing rage. This creates a really weird situation where you're having to give up your advantage state in order to get your win condition in your rage. Like, for example here, instead of going for this, I could follow up and keep the pressure going. Another good example is a lot of the times you'll have to give up your good edge guards in order to go ahead and pop rage to become a threat. When in reality, it's just as justifiable to go off and start edge guarding. So you can see how it starts to create a really weird problem where in order to get your main win condition, you have to give up another win condition. Unless, of course, your opponent's just playing badly and just letting you get rage for free, which realistically speaking, they shouldn't be letting you do. With Airwalker, however, you'll force opponents into the air if they actually want to try to hit your in-lag. A lot of the time, if people want to actually contest this move and they don't have an armor-breaking aerial, they have to hit the startup of the move, which, if they mess up, will allow you to armor through and counterattack. This is especially tricky and disadvantaged since people don't want to let Jason just armor up for free. There's a lot of times when people will try to stop him from doing this, and then he'll armor through and counterattack, and they'll die at like 0. Now obviously, if you haven't put it together, this is really good for disadvantage since it allows Jason to have an extra option to get down, which really stacks on when you consider all of his other options that he has to get down, making Jason one of the best characters in disadvantage despite his size. Another disadvantageous position he can do this in is on the ledge. Jason can kinda struggle at the ledge to get back on stage since his wide hitbox makes him really susceptible to getting caught by a lot of random moves. Moves like Agent Smith's gun is especially difficult for Jason to get past. Realistically, just anything with a really big hitbox is difficult for Jason to handle. On the flip side though, no one really wants to contest Jason off stage. He's got some pretty huge hitboxes. And this isn't even mentioning the fact that if you slip up off stage against Jason, you're very likely to die. So because Jason can't really get on stage, but people don't really want to go off stage against Jason, it creates this really awkward tango where Jason's kind of stuck on ledge and the opponent's just kind of waiting there for him. With Airwalker though, you can take advantage of the fact that your opponent isn't going off stage by charging rage and then just simply walking back on. Obviously it's not free every time because you do have characters like Marvin with armor breaking moves like this, but it is always something to keep in the back pocket to help get you out of bad situations. The threat of Jason doing this is also really good to just bait people off stage to deal with him. And once again, if Jason catches you slipping off stage, there's a good chance you'll die for it. Now, while we're talking about Jason's offstage game, I have to mention Airwalker Grounded Up special. If you're unlucky enough to get hit with this offstage, you get put into a really tough position. The option I'd always recommend to go for afterwards is his aerial neutral special. Doing this in this situation will catch panic dodges, attacks, doing nothing, and even some characters' jumps if I'm not mistaken. The only real options that beat this are delayed dodges and dodge cancel jump-ins, both of which can just be beaten by a Sayer. If Jason's able to catch on and read either of these though, you're pretty much dead. Though there may be some stages like Water Tower with a really big bottom blast zone that you may have to follow up on. While we're talking about cheesy grounded up special setups with Jason though, I'd be protecting the innocent if I didn't mention the side special setup. Good thing, that's not what Jason's about. While it did work a little bit better before Jason's side special knockback nerf, you can jump and then immediately cancel it with an Airwalker grounded up special to dunk your opponent into the blast zone for the kill. This setup is very cheesy and banks on your opponent trying to do a panic dodge or panic jump in immediately without a cancel, so you have to be really careful when you go for it. It'll lose to any attack, delayed dodges, or dodge cancel jumps, and if you miss, you're down a jump, a special, and a dodge with at least half your dodge meter gone. What I'm saying is, if you miss, you're probably dead, but it is a really funny way to farm clips. Technically though, you don't even need the setup to do this, as you can just do Airwalker grounded up special and dunk people into the blast zone. But I should say the side special setup is a pretty consistent way of putting yourself in that situation. The last thing I want to mention for practical uses before I start getting into more of the niche stuff is just how good it synergizes with some of Jason's large active hitboxes. A lot of Jason's grounded buttons are huge and they're super active. They take up a ton of space. Grounded neutral attack and grounded up attack are in particular especially deadly. These moves can make Jason a menace to recover against and get down against. One of the reasons is that whenever Jason does a jump, a lot of people will be ready to dodge on reaction to the Jason jump. So mixing up edge guards with jump Airwalker neutral attack can catch those panic dodges. On top of that, if they're trying to jump over the Jason stare on recovery, a lot of the times the large vertical hitbox on his neutral attack can catch people jumping. But also, like, holy shit, just look at how much area that covers. It's actually insane. Airwalker up attack is a little bit more read specific, as a lot of the times you're not really going to be calling people's movement out or catching options you wouldn't ordinarily catch with this move. It's okay at catching dodge ins whenever you're juggling someone, although I wouldn't say Airwalker grounded up attack is the best thing to catch dodge ins with whenever you're juggling someone, as a lot of the time you can do about the same thing with aerial up special, albeit with a little bit less range and activity. But aerial up special does do more damage than grounded up attack, so do with that what you will. One nice upside that it has specifically against Wonder Woman now though is the fact that it still breaks armor, so you can catch them slipping in certain situations. And the last thing I'd really like to mention is the fact that you can use Airwalker with Sleeping Bag to grab people out of Steven Bubble. Without Airwalker, it's actually pretty difficult to Sleeping Bag opponents out of Steven Bubble, since you can only do it on the ground. With Airwalker though, you can just jump up to the bubble and bag them no matter where they are. This potentially leads to a close stock if your Steven's able to follow up. In my opinion, Steven is one of Jason's best teammates, and this helps cement it even further. Alright, that was the last of the Jason Airwalker tech. Let me know what you guys thought. Did I miss anything? Do you use Airwalker when you play Jason? Are you going to now that you know all the tech? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, drop a like and subscribe for more Multiversus Jason content. But yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you guys in the next video.